My name is Marија and I'm your English teacher for today. Today, as you can see on the screen, we are going to talk about passive voice. We are going to revise present and past simple passive, and we are going to learn about the present perfect passive. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand the use of passive voice in English, to revise, as I said, passive constructions in present simple and past simple, and learn to form them in present perfect tense, and to distinguish between active and passive constructions and their use to describe present and past actions. First, we are going to talk about the form of the passive sentences. How do we form passive sentences? You already talked about this in your previous lesson, so let's just quickly revise. You learned that we use the verb to be in the tense that we need, and we use past participle. So the verb to be in present simple tense is am, is, or are, and in past simple it is was or were. Of course, if we need a negative sentence, we add not, because that's how we form a negative sentence with the verb to be. And we use past participle. What's the past participle? Verbs in English could be regular or irregular verbs. If the verb is regular, we just add ed, and if the verb is irregular, we use its third form, or commonly known as the third column. So let's see example in the present and past simple. News portals are visited every day. If we want to say it negative, we would say news portals aren't visited every day. And if we make a question, then we start with the verb to be. Are news portals visited every day? Past simple. The Starry Night was painted by Van Gogh. The Starry Night wasn't painted by Picasso. And if we want to make a question, then again we start with the verb to be. Was the Starry Night painted by Van Gogh? So let's say a little more about the form. That is, how do we form a passive sentence out of an active one? So let's look at this active sentence. Peter broke the window. Let's analyze it. What's Peter? It's the subject, of course, and it's the active subject. What does it mean? It means that Peter does the action. He is the performer of the action. He is the doer. Okay, and what's broke? It's the action, of course. This time it is in the past simple because broke is the past simple form of the verb break. Okay, and the window is, of course, the object. So now, how do we make a passive sentence out of this one? You know that in English, subject always goes before the verb. So this time, Peter, as the active subject, goes before the verb break. So we need to take the object of the active sentence, and this is the window, and make it the subject of the passive one, which means that we should start with the word the window. Okay, so we start with the window. Then, since the sentence is in the past simple, we should use the past simple form of the verb to be. That's right, that's was in this case. The window was, and now we use the past participle of the verb break, and it's broken. That's right. So was broken is our action here, and the window is our subject. But it says here the passive one. What does it mean? Well, the window doesn't do anything in this sentence. We don't know who did this. And if we want to say who did this, we should do it by adding it with the word by. So we say the window was broken by Peter, by Peter. So Peter is still an active subject. He is the doer, the performer, but he is not our subject in the passive sentence. The window is our subject. If the subject is a word like I, you, he, they, somebody, people, etc., we don't say it, we don't mention it in the passive sentence. We omit it. For example, we don't say the window was broken by somebody or by him. If we don't know who that was, we don't say it, we don't mention it. Just one more thing about the form. You know that in English, as well as in Serbian, we sometimes have two objects in one sentence. So the one is called direct object or direct object. You can use both. It's just a matter of differences between pronunciation in British and American English. So the one is the direct object, and the other one is called the indirect object. We have two sentences here. The first one is in present simple. They buy me presents every year. And the second one is in past simple. Our parents gave us some good advice last night. The yellow words are direct objects. So in the first sentence, presents are direct object, and in the second one, some good advice is the direct object. The red words, me and us, are called indirect object. And it usually answers the question to whom, što je slično sa dativom u srpskom jeziku. It's the most often case, to whom, to me. So when we have two objects in an active sentence, of course we can make two passive sentences. One will start with the direct object, like presents, and the other one will start with the indirect object, and that's the word me. But what should we be careful about? We can't start the sentence with me. Why? Because that's the object form of the personal pronoun I. So we have to use the subject form of the personal pronoun if we are going to put it as a subject. So we are going to say I am both, not me am both, but I am both present every day. In the second sentence, we also can make two sentences. Some good advice was given to us by our parents last night. And the other one will start with indirect object. This time it's us, but we are not going to say us as the subject, but we, because that's the subject form of the personal pronoun we. We were given some good advice by our parents last night. And just one more thing. When we make the passive sentence with the direct object, like this one, presents are both, and we still want to say to whom, we say to me. Presents are bought to me every year. The same goes for the second one. Some good advice was given to us. The use of passive voice. So when do we use passive voice instead of active voice? We use passive voice when the doer of the action, the performer, the person who does the action is not important or they are unknown. For example, if we address the situation like this, the window was broken, we are not concerned who did it, or we don't know who did it. What's important is the fact that the window is now broken and that I will probably have to buy another one. We use it when it is not important or precisely when we want to emphasize the doer, the performer. Look at this example. Hamlet was written by Shakespeare. It's written by Shakespeare, not by some other writer. Most often, the use of the passive voice depends on the speaker's choice, whether they are going to use passive or active voice to describe a situation happening in the present or in the past. But what's the fact is that passive voice is more often used in English than in Serbian. So when we have to translate a sentence from English into the Serbian language, we have to be careful whether this translation sounds funny or strange in Serbian. So if it's funny or strange, we should use an active sentence in Serbian. For example, I was given a piano by my grandfather for my last birthday. We would say in Serbian, Deda mi je poklonio klavir za moj posljednji rođendan. Great. Now let's practice. First, I would like to tell you that you can use your mobile phones to scan QR codes now and later in the lesson. so that you can do the exercises simultaneously with me. Or you can take a photo and do them later on your own if this is too fast for you. So this is a present simple passive exercise. So let's begin. There are 9 prompts and we should make present simple passive sentences. So let's begin. Look at the first one. Think about it. I'm sure that you all know that this sentence is, this chimpanzee is called Bubbles. Okay, the next one. It is owned by John Peterson. Call and own are regular verbs, so we added ed. Be careful about the third one. It is kept in the house. Kept is past participle of the verb keep. It is loved by everybody in the family. It is fed 3 times a day. Fed is the past participle of the verb feed. It is always dressed in funny clothes. We see that always, the frequency adverb, goes after the verb to be. It is always dressed. The 7th one. It is taken to the vet once a month. Taken is past participle of take. It is looked after by John's sister while John is away. And the last one, Bubbles is said to be John's only friend. Great, I think this was very easy. Let's move on. Scan the QR code, please, if you like. And we are going to practice past simple passive. Following the pattern, we said that we use verb to be in the past simple, and it is was or were plus past participle. So let's begin. The story is called Lessons Learned, and the story is told by a doctor, a black man, and you will see later why I emphasize that he is black. He remembers his teenager years when he was 14 and when he finished junior high school and entered all-white high school. Why is it called all-white? Because only white people entered this high school, and he was one of the few black people who started going to this school. At some point, the video is going to stop, and we are supposed to transform the sentence into the passive or active sentence. Let's begin.
As soon as we got into the school, the principal was calling the roll. He said, Bill Weaver. And I said, my name is William. And he said, oh, you're a smart N-word. I'd been in school maybe 30 minutes, and he suspended me.
Okay, here is the first one. He suspended me. So what do you think? How will this sentence be in the passive voice? Think about the subject, me. What did we say if it is a personal pronoun? Okay, let's check your answers. The answer is I was suspended. Did you get it right? I hope you did. Let's move on.
He suspended me. I don't remember a day that a teacher did not tell me that I didn't belong. We'd have a test, and they'd stand over me and then just snatch the paper out from us and say, time's up. The first report card, I got all Fs, including phys ed.
Okay, the second one. Teachers gave him all Fs. I hope you know what F is. It's actually the worst grade, the worst mark that you can get in school. So it's jedinica. Okay, so teachers gave him all Fs. Think about this sentence. There are two objects, so we can make two passive sentences. Okay, let's see. The first one is, all Fs were given to him, and the second one is, he was given all Fs. Be careful, Fs are plural, so we use were, and he is singular, so we use was. Okay, I hope you got it right again.
Including phys ed. So I've gone from being a good student to starting to think, well, maybe I don't belong. Maybe I am dumb. I was home one evening wondering what I'm going to do when there's a knock on the door, and it's my 7th grade science teacher from the black school, Mr. Hill. He said, I understand that you're having some trouble. And I said, yeah, Mr. Hill, I think they're trying to run me away. And he said, what I need you to do is to come back to the junior high school after school every day and Saturday mornings. He said, can you do that? I said, yes, sir. And so every day, waiting for me would be Mr. Hill with assorted other teachers, the English teacher, the math teacher, and they tutored me. And once I got past those Fs, I stopped doubting myself, but learning became almost a spiteful activity to prove the teachers at the high school wrong. And no matter what I did, academically or athletically, I was never recognized.
The third one, I was never recognized at that school. I hope you noticed that this is a passive sentence. I was never recognized at that school. So we should make it an active one. Think about who is the doer. Who does the action? We can guess that it is they or teachers. Teachers or they. You can start your sentence with teachers or they and then make an active sentence in past simple. Let's check. They never recognized me at that school. They never recognized me at that school.
Never recognized at that school. I never had a conversation with the counselor about going to college. But during my senior year, I got a letter saying you've been awarded a scholarship. So I ended up going to Howard University. And 37 years after I left high school, I met my older brother's funeral, talking to Mr. Hill. And I said, Mr. Hill, if I had not gotten that scholarship, I don't know what would have happened. And I don't know how I got the scholarship because I'd never even applied for it. And he said, I know, because I filled in the application.
Okay, the next one is Mr. Hill filled in the application for him. Let's check. The application was filled in for him by Mr. Hill. This is the first sentence that the doer of the action, the performer, Mr. Hill, is important. So we added him by Mr. Hill. Okay?
An application and sent it out for you. So Mr. Hill stepped in and I believe saved my life.
Okay, and the last one, Mr. Hill saved my life. Let's check. My life was saved by Mr. Hill. Again, Mr. Hill is an important person in this sentence, so we added him by Mr. Hill.
Life. And at the time, I didn't realize how much I was being helped. And that's the ignorance of youth and the wisdom of age. When you look back on it, you say, how did I get here? How did I make it? Because people help you. whether you knew it or not.
The story is beautiful and educational, and we could talk about it on so many levels. But since today's lesson is about passive, we are going to skip that, unfortunately, and I'm going to leave it up to you. So think about the story and to maybe change your opinions with your friends or with your teacher. I really hope you liked the story and that you understood what Dr. Weaver was talking about. So one day he got a letter. And who is he in this sentence? It's Dr. Weaver. In order to understand what the letter said, we need to retell the story in short. So Dr. Weaver finished his junior high school and he entered all-white high school. But from the day one, he had only problems in this school. He was discriminated by the teachers because of the color of his skin. That wasn't unusual in the 1960s. So no matter what he did, he was never good enough to get more than Fs. So he needed help. And who helped him? Mr. Hill. And who is Mr. Hill? Mr. Hill is a teacher, a black teacher from his junior high school, from his black junior high school. So what did he do? He found other teachers who would also like to help Dr. Weaver, and they tutored him. What did they do? They gave him lessons after his school. So he improved his grades thanks to Mr. Hill and other teachers from his junior high school. And he started to learn in spite of everything. But how did he become a doctor? He finished Harvard University. It's one of the most prestigious universities in the USA. And he didn't even know how he entered this university because he never applied for it. And who did it? Mr. Hill again. Mr. Hill filled in application and sent it off for Dr. Weaver. So, not knowing this, one day he got a letter saying, let's see what the letter said. You've been awarded a scholarship. You have been awarded a scholarship. Let's analyze this sentence. What's the subject? Yes, you. Of course, it's you. Okay. What's the action? Have been awarded. Great. What's past participle in this action? Have been awarded. It's awarded, of course, and it's the past participle of the regular word award. Okay? And have been is the verb to be, since we know the pattern for passive sentence. In which tense? Present perfect. Yes, great. So we can conclude that present perfect passive is not different from other passives that we already learned, like present simple and past simple. So we have the verb to be in present perfect, have or has plus been. And of course, if we need a negative sentence, we add not, haven't or hasn't been, plus the past participle of the main verb. Let's revise the use of these three tenses: present simple, present perfect, and past simple. So we use present simple when we talk about routines and facts. And these are the words that we should use with present simple, like every year, every day, and so on. Always, usually, generally, frequently, often, sometimes, rarely, or seldom, and never. And all the words that say that something is a repeated action in present, that it is a routine or a fact. Okay. What about present perfect? Present perfect is a tense that somehow connects present with the past. How? Well, we use it for an action started in the past but still in progress. And since, for, and so far are the words that we usually use to emphasize this action. We use present perfect for action happened just now or recently, and these are the words that usually go with this use of present perfect. Just, already, yet, recently, lately. We use present perfect for experiences as well. When we talk about experiences, we use present perfect, and words ever and never are usually associated with this use of present perfect. And finally, we use present perfect for action completed in the past, but we don't know when. Why is this in blue? Because I wanted to emphasize the difference in use between present perfect and past simple, both for action completed in the past. We use both present perfect and past simple for completed actions, but the difference is we use past simple when we know when the action happened, and we use present perfect when we don't know when it happened. These are the words that usually go with past simple. Last year, last week, last night, and so on. Yesterday, 2 days ago, the word ago. For example, in 1998, when we state the exact year, or with expressions when I was 7, when I was in high school, when I was a child, and so on and so on. And another difference between present perfect and past simple is when we talk about experiences. When we talk about experiences, we use present perfect to state our experience, and we usually use ever and never with it. But when we want to know more details about these experiences, we use past simple. Now let's practice. You can see here that your task is to add is, are, was, were, have, or has been. But let us see the sentences. We have 7 sentences and they are all passive. And the past participle is given. These are the words in green in each sentence. And we have to think about the verb to be. I want you to test yourself whether you know when to use present simple, when to use past simple, and when to use present perfect. So let's begin with the first sentence. Sally told me her wedding dress, designed by Vera Wang. Do we know when the dress was designed? No, we don't know. So what did we say? Which tense do we use when we don't know when the actual action happened? The present perfect, that's right. Completed action in the past when we don't know when it happened. Has been, that's right. Sally told me her wedding dress has been designed by Vera Wang. Let's see the second one. Before the clothes shop closed, 80 people employed there. So we have this first part of the sentence, before the clothes shop closed. And this tells us when the action happened. So when we know when it happened, we use past simple. That's right. 80 people. So we have to use were. That's right. Before the clothes shop closed, 80 people were employed there. The third one. On the first day of our holiday, we taken on a wonderful tour of the city by our guide. So again, we have this first part of the sentence, which tells us when it happened, on the first day of our holiday. So again, we know when. So what do we use when we know when the action happened? We use past simple. We were taken on a wonderful tour of the city by our guide. The fourth one. Jeans worn by both men and women nowadays. We have nowadays. So the action is happening now. So it must be present simple, yes. Jeans are worn by both men and women nowadays. Okay, great. The fifth one. Coffee grown in Brazil. It's a fact. So it's present simple. Coffee is grown in Brazil. Great. The sixth. Documentaries on marine life shown on TV for many years. For many years. This is the part of the sentence that should tell us which tense to use. For many years. This is actually the action which started in the past, but still in progress. So we have to use present perfect. Documentaries are plural, so we're going to use have been. That's right. Documentaries on marine life have been shown on TV for many years. And the last one, the injured man taken to hospital half an hour ago. Okay, we have ago, so everything is clear here. We have to use past simple. The injured man is singular, so we have to use was. That's right. The injured man was taken to hospital half an hour ago. Great. And finally, this is our last exercise for today. There are some newspaper headlines and one note here. And as you know, they are written in short, so we have to rewrite them as complete sentences. But I'm not going to comment any of the sentences. Well, maybe just the first one. And you are supposed to do it on your own. The way of thinking should be similar to the previous exercise. Okay, so let's see the first one. Footballer offered £1 million for transfer. Do we know when? No, we don't know. So if we don't know, we should use present perfect. And the sentence should be, a footballer has been offered £1 million for his transfer. Look at the second. 3-year-old taken to hospital after serious fall yesterday. And the solution is, a 3-year-old was taken to hospital after a serious fall yesterday. The third one, treasure discovered in old lady's garden. The solution is, treasure has been discovered in an old lady's garden because we don't know when. No cameras allowed in museum. It's a note. No cameras are allowed in museum, or cameras are not allowed in museum. And the fifth one, Tom Cruise asked to sponsor charity event yesterday. Tom Cruise was asked to sponsor charity event yesterday. We know when, yesterday. Great, guys. So, since we have no time left, please take a photo of this page, scan the QR code later, or type the URL into your search engines and do the homework. There are 2 tasks. Now you're able to do everything I said in the beginning. And in the end, thank you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you next time.